Approximate the area under the graph of the function f of x equals 15 sine of x from 0 to pi for n equals 4 subintervals by using the upper sum this time. Again, we recall the upper sum formula. It looks like the lower sum formula, except it's just capital S sub n, n equals summation I from 1 to n f. This time is capital C because we evaluate at the maximum times delta of x. Still is base times height, and then we add them up. So let's look at the graph. 0 to pi. This is the graph of 15 sine of x. Okay, delta of x is still b minus a over n, so it's pi minus 0 over 4. So our subinterval is still pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, and 3 pi over 4. But this time we want to pick the upper sum, right? The highest point on each subinterval. So upper sum for subinterval equal. So base times height. What is the base? Pi over 4, right? Each base is always pi over 4. What is the height? Okay, it's a functional value evaluate at the point that has the highest functional value. So from 0 to pi over 4, okay, look at the graph. The highest point is right here. So the first point we pick is pi over 4. So this is our first rectangle. You see, we overestimate this area. For the second one, right, still height times the base. So which point do we pick? Take a look at the second interval, pi over 4 to pi over 2. The highest point is right here. This is our rectangle. So it happened at pi over 2. The third rectangle, okay, so we plus the area of the third rectangle. So from pi over 2 to 3 pi over 4, what is the highest point? It's decreasing, so the highest point is right here. So it's pi over 2. Then you look at the last rectangle or last subinterval. From 3 pi over 4 to pi is decreasing, so the highest point is right here. So it's still at 3 pi over 4. So now we evaluate. So what is f of pi over 4? Is 15 square root of 2 over 2. Because everything's multiplied by pi over 4, right? We just factor it out. So we don't need to rewrite it again and again. So look, we factor out pi over 4. Okay? So now the next one, f of pi over 2. So what is 15 times sine of pi over 2? You evaluate on the side, right? F of pi over 2 equals 15 times sine of pi over 2. It's just 15 times 1, right? So 15. The next one is f of pi over 2, so still 15. And the next one is f of 3 pi over 4, so it's 15 times square root of 2 over 2. Now you can either leave it this way or you combine like term. So what it is, 15 root 2 over 2 plus 15 root 2 over 2. They're like term because they have square root of 2 as a factor. So we have 15 square root of 2 plus 15 is 30 times pi over 4. And you can just leave it this way. This is the final answer. You can't combine anymore. So this is the approximation for the upper sum, S of 4.